Peppa Pig. Good night, Peppa. One night, Granny and Grandpa Pig came over for dinner. Later that night, Mummy and Daddy Pig were going out. Granny and Grandpa Pig would stay and babysit Peppa and George. It was almost bedtime for Peppa and George, but they weren't tired at all. "Can we jump in muddy puddles for just a tiny bit?" asked Peppa. "Okay," said Daddy Pig, "but just until bath time." Peppa and George jumped up and down until they were covered in mud, but they weren't tired yet. "Peppa, George," called Daddy Pig, "time to take a bath before bed." Peppa and George splashed in the bath until they were both nice and clean. "You must be tired after all that splashing," said Daddy Pig. "We're not even a little bit tired," cried Peppa. "Snort, snort," laughed George. Peppa and George hopped out of the bathtub. Then they dried off and put on their pajamas very slowly. Then they brushed their teeth for an extra long time. "Brush, brush, brush. Time to get into bed," said Mummy Pig. "We want to tuck you in." "Yippee!" cheered Peppa. Mummy and Daddy Pig were ready to leave. "Remember, Granny and Grandpa Pig are right downstairs if you need anything," said Mummy Pig. "Good night, Peppa. Good night, George." Mummy and Daddy Pig got in their car and left for the evening. "George, are you awake?" Peppa asked. "Oink, oink." George snorted. The lights were off and they were cozy in their beds, but they couldn't fall asleep. Granny and Grandpa Pig were watching TV when they heard little feet come downstairs. "Peppa, George, you should be in bed," said Granny Pig. "We aren't sleepy at all," said Peppa. "Can we watch TV with you?" Granny Pig smiled. "Well, I suppose watching a little TV might make you sleepy." "Hooray!" shouted George and Peppa. Peppa and George didn't like the TV show. "Grandpa Pig," she said, "can you play that game where you throw us up in the air and catch us?" "Okay," said Grandpa Pig, "but only one turn each." Later, Mummy and Daddy Pig returned home from their night out. "Snore. The little piggies are asleep." Daddy Pig laughed. "And so are the big piggies,"